Welcome to a show about your county government. My name is Janet Caracas, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters. The League has spent lots of time looking at county government, and we thought maybe other folks would want to know about some of those things we've learned, but actually there are a lot of things we haven't learned. So we are going to be doing the same kind of exploring and listening that I hope you will do with me today as I talk to our guest. And our guest is the Executive Director of the Area Council on Aging. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about what she does.
Yes, Janet. My name is Joyce Lippman, and I'm the Executive Director at the Central Coast Commission for Senior Citizens. It's the Area Agency on Aging for both San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. And in that capacity, the agency has a mission. Its mission
tell us the mission.
Is to develop the community and try and create a community where seniors would be safe and secure in their homes, and ensure that we're developing programs and services to address the needs of older persons.
Okay, just to lay the groundwork here, tell me about older people. Who are older people?
Ooh, what an interesting question. Well, a lot of people have a lot of theories about who is an older person, but in our language from our Older Americans Act, which authorizes our agency and the programs that we serve.
And that's a federal act?
That's a federal piece of legislation.
Okay.
And there's a state piece of legislation called the Older Californians Act. They describe an older person as someone over the age of 60, which, for most of us, that would be very young. However, there are people who have serious health issues, and 60 might be a good age to describe growing older and being old. Although the legislation says an older person starts at the age of 60, I think we're all aware from our own experiences that age is just a chronological number. So most people, when we think about what's an older person, I like to think, we look at it and we might say someone 85 is an older person, maybe someone 80, 85, and 90, because that's when you start frequently to see cognitive impairment, health problems, mobility issues. And for much of what we do at the agency, we see that it really is the advanced age, because most people are taking good care of themselves. They've had access to health care for most of their lives. They're eating right. They're doing all the things that, we've heard for years. Oh, you must do this. And voila, we have a large aging population. In fact, the fastest growing population in this county are those individuals over the age of 85. The next 10-year span of people with the fastest growing group is 75 years of age and older. So it is... like the Tribune said a few years ago when they were saying, what would San Luis Obispo look like in 20 years? And they said the fastest growing, biggest population increase would be among the elderly. And we have every reason to believe that projection is correct.
Okay, so they're the fastest growing, but how much of the population do they make up? 5%, 10%?
Oh, in San Luis Obispo County, 60 plus is 18%.
Oh, 18%.
And by the year 2030 something, it'll be 22%. So yes, there's, in fact, you're right, percentages can be deceiving, but when you hit 20% of the population,
that's a big number, one-fifth.
It's 1/5 of the population here, yes.
Yes, okay, especially when you can anticipate everybody having some kind of problem as they get to that top end. Okay, tell me a little bit about your staff now. How many people do you have working for you, or do you do this all alone?
Oh, no, nobody does anything alone. It's not possible. The agency has been around since 1975, and we do a number of things. So we have 9 people on our paid staff, and we have volunteers that total probably about 80, 85 at any one time. So volunteers are an important part of our ability to be effective and efficient. Our staff, the Commission for Senior Citizens is composed of the Area Agency on Aging, our main operation, what we've done since 1975, a health insurance counseling and advocacy program, helping people navigate the Medicare, supplemental, long-term care insurance, prescription drug plan, all of those issues. We have the health insurance counseling program.
Okay, so your health insurance counseling program, you deal with the government health programs, but if I had a question about long-term care, is this a good deal, is this not a good deal, could I call you?
Yes.
I have to remember that. Okay,
Absolutely.
I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. So HICAP is an important part of our operations. We also have a senior information referral program, because since the day we opened our office, people will call and ask questions, and that's a natural thing. Where would you go to get some answers? So over time, we've created a program we call it the Senior Connection, but there is a senior information referral program within every area agency on aging in the nation, and that's one of the things to share with your viewers is that we're the local area agency on aging, but there are 641 of us, and we are nationwide. So if someone calls my office and says something like, I'm concerned about my sister-in-law, she's 90 years old, she lives in Milwaukee, what would I do? I can open up a little book or go online and find the Area Agency on Aging for Milwaukee and give her that information, and connections start from that point. So it's really a wonderful thing.
You know, I'm going to tell you, I did that about 10 years ago for an aunt who lived in West Palm Beach, Florida, and there were problems, and I didn't know what to do about them in California, and I ended up calling West Palm Beach.
Oh, wonderful. So
At that point, I was just dealing with a telephone number, not a person, so this is nice to meet you.
Thank you. Well, and we're very fortunate. We have one paid staff person in that information program, and we have about 9 volunteers who come every week and help answer the phones. In addition, we've produced a very valuable publication, called the San Luis Obispo County Senior Information Guide. And I just want to point this out because at every opportunity, we like to take the opportunity to let people know that this free publication is available to be picked up anywhere in San Luis Obispo County. Libraries, city halls, senior centers, hospitals, you name it, and this can be picked up free of charge. We're right now in the process of updating the edition, so the next one you see will be a different color. But this is a valuable resource that helps people find what's available here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share that.
Joyce, you mentioned you get federal money, so you have a connection to Congress. Talk a little bit, explain to us this national, state, local ladder that you are involved in, that has created you, actually.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to do that. The federal government in 1965 created all these wonderful social programs, Medicare, what we call Medi-Cal, and one of the small pieces of legislation was known as the Older Americans Act. And that legislation has been reauthorized 10, 11 times since 1965, and each time it expands. It looks at what are the recent changes, what are the new needs. It might tweak this and tweak that so that we are reauthorized on a regular basis now. We're still very small. I mean, it's still a very small piece of legislation.
Yes.
But the federal funds and the federal mandates and the federal legislation exist. It tells the state what to do, and then it also tells the area agencies on aging. So the funds go from the federal government to the state. The state adds rules and regulations, as they're apt to do, and then
and
it flows.
They're supposed to do.
Yes,
We're
absolutely, absolutely.
Sure,
They're supposed to do that.
Sure.
And then they transmit it in California to 33 area agencies on aging. So there, as you can see, there are 58 counties and there are 33 AAA. So a number of us are multi-county, because the concept, as the federal government saw it, is that area agencies on aging should be doing regional planning to meet the needs of seniors. So we plan and we develop programs and services and that type of thing.
And you did say at the beginning, I believe, that you service both San Luis County and Santa Barbara County, but I don't know, underline that for us a little bit so we don't forget that Santa Barbara County is part of your, two things. One, Santa Barbara County is part of your jurisdiction, but San Luis County itself often works with regional agencies. You're not the only one, but don't know much about you. So tell us about that.
Well, we are, in some respects, a regional agency, being through county, and actually until the expansion of the Santa Barbara Regional Health Authority to serve San Luis, which is coming up in March 2008, we really were the only entity that was Santa Barbara and San Luis. I mean, San Luis has been connected with Monterey and some other other counties and for other issues. So it's a pretty exciting, and because both counties are coastal, both counties are high populations of seniors, both counties do not have significant low-income senior populations, and so there's a lot, although many people think, well, Santa Barbara seniors must be very different than San Luis Obispo seniors, and I hear both ends of that. It's really not that true. When we do our needs assessments, and we have been doing needs assessments since 1975, which means we ask senior citizens what are their needs and this, that, and the other, you'd be amazed. An 85-year-old in Atascadero is not that different than an 85-year-old in Goleta, California.
You know, the difference, I would think, would be in income levels, but does that matter if you're an 85-year-old in need? You know, unless we're talking about lots of money.
Well, the income levels are more similar than they are.
They are.
People perceive that Santa Barbara does have a lot of wealthy persons and wealthy older persons. But in our last needs assessment, our biggest population of respondents, and it was a needs assessment targeted to caregivers, our highest economic group was from the Paso Robles area. Oh. So, of course, it partially could be caused by the random sampling issue and all of that, but we did a pretty good job with that. So I think we have to see that when we look at some of our perceptions from maybe 20, 30 years ago are really have changed.
Are you telling me I have to change?
Oh, no, I didn't mean to imply that, of course, but, you know, when you really find yourself 85 and a little bit homebound and having trouble driving and your vision isn't good and your health is deteriorating, your husband has died, your kids are hundreds of miles away, and let me just go on and on and on.
Yes.
It's not different in Atascadero or Goleta to the degree we might think it is different. So when we look at developing, let me use that opportunity to lead to when we're looking to developing and looking at what services are needed, we need to try and make sure that the services that we fund are geographically equitable and available and appropriate, of course. But we need to realize that it's important to make sure, for example, that home-delivered meals are available throughout the two counties. In-home services are available throughout the two counties. That when we identify a program need, home repair, things like that, we try and make sure that it's available to seniors no matter where they live.
Okay, so you're talking about needs and services. So let's get back to the foundation of this thing. Let's get back to money.
Okay.
And you're a nonprofit, mainly financed by the federal government through the state, but you do get county money.
That's true.
Tell us about how you get the county money, why you get it, and we will really start hitting that money thing as soon as we come back from our break. Thank you. Okay, we're happy to be back. Again, my name is Janet Caracas. I am talking to Joyce Lipman, and we are talking about aging. The Area Agency, on aging. And we're talking about what we always love to talk about, and that is money. Most of the money is coming from the federal government, from the state government, but there's also money that comes from our county board of supervisors. So personally, I want to know a little more about that. When the county doles out money, how is that done? What do you do? Okay. How much do you get from the county, percentage-wise, or whatever is a good way of doing it?
the county provides us, both counties provide us with funds for both our administrative operation.
Okay, and I'm going to interrupt you for a minute in case you folks didn't pick us up before our break. This nonprofit deals with both San Luis Obispo County and Santa Barbara County, a two-county nonprofit beholden to both the counties, state feds, etc. Okay, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you again.
No, that's good. Thank you. So we get funding from both counties, and what's interesting is that the Older Americans Act, which provides the majority of the funding, requires what they call local public matching funds. And so the administrative portion, which is 8.5% of the total allocation, or parts of the allocation, is what we run our operation on, and that we're required to have 25% match from the counties. So we divide that up between the two counties, and San Luis Obispo County and Santa Barbara County help us meet that match for us.
12 and a half each? More or less?
Yes.
Okay.
I hadn't really thought about dividing 25 in half. And it's also true then, the funds that we pass through, the state and federal funds that we receive that we pass through, which is the 92.5%, actually it's a little closer to 95%, that go to contractors, they're also required to get local public matching funds. And they get those from the county as well.
Okay, and how do you, I mean, is this a guarantee from the county? Is this
there's no guarantees, of course, but the reality is that we apply each year. We prepare an application, we submit our application.
And your application is built on needs, it's built on population. What do you have to give the county to get the money?
Oh, we have to give them a budget, we have to give them our plan, we have to write an area plan every year to the state about what our priorities are, what are the needs, what are we going to do, how are we going to spend the money. It's I did bring a copy of that here somewhere,
that's okay.
Very little piece of paper there.
We don't like looking at budgets, we just want to hear about them.
Oh, good. And so, so we basically tell the county what we're going to do for seniors in this community, and they provide us, we ask for a certain amount of money to meet the minimum matching requirements. We really don't ask for more than the minimum. And so they provide that to us through the application process. I'm not sure, we're not really in the competitive process with a lot of other nonprofits because I can't say that they are actually required to give us the funding according to the federal legislation,
yes.
But the county could do whatever it wants to do.
Sure.
And we try not to go down that road.
And you're a kind of different nonprofit because you do have this federal state backing.
Right. If we were
that's really your context.
It is our context. We are designated to do a certain task, the majority of which is the pass-through of these federal funds. If the Area Agency on Aging doesn't exist, for whatever reason, those funds do not come to the community. So, in a sense, we have to exist. Now, in other areas, they might be, AAAs can be in counties, they can be in joint powers agreements. There are different ways in which they can be organized.
Yes.
But an area agency has to exist in order to do all the things that are required, and the final step of which is provide funds to the community.
Okay, so in a sense, you have three bosses.
Yes.
Does that work? Sure, it works. You've been around for a long time, but how well does it work? How easy is it?
Well, it's the easiest. Boy, that's an interesting word. Yes, we have to be sure to be following the federal mandates. We have to be sure to follow all the state requirements. The county doesn't really give us a lot of mandates. I think their major concern is to make sure that we are in compliance with the state and federal funds, so that the funds do come in. And then we are operated by a board of directors who are my bosses. One of your questions was, who is my boss? Who do I report to? I report to the board of directors. And their job is to make sure that we're on track, we're doing what we've said we're going to do, we're in compliance with everything. And
okay, but tell me something about the makeup of your board of directors.
We have the board of directors was initially created in 1975, and we have 12 members. board. We have a few vacancies right now. So
6 and 6?
6 and 6. Oh,
Okay,
always.
each county.
Each county has always had equal representation on our board and our advisory council and other committees that we do. And they range from, retired cardiac surgeons to retired teachers to, now not everybody is retired. We have a couple of attorneys, CPAs, that type of younger people. Because they're interested in senior affairs.
Okay.
They have had their own personal experiences.
Okay.
People come to us through two mechanisms. One, 5 of our local political organizations have seats on the board where we allow them to make a nomination and the board elects a person.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. Local political
right, and that's
groups. That's to me the Democrats, the Republicans. That's not what you're talking about.
No. That's the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors, the San Luis Obispo County Board of Supervisors, the City Council of San Luis, the City Council of Santa Barbara, and the City Council of Santa Maria. Those 5 entities can make a nomination to our board, and we really have a seat there for that, those entities. Then the other members of the board are nominated through a community process. We send out solicitations. We put notices in the newspaper. We send out letters to community groups and say, like the League of Women Voters, and we say, we're looking for new board and council members. Please help us recruit.
Okay, let's say that now that I am one of your younger seniors, of course, and I want to be on your board of directors, well, can I just call you up and I'll say I'm interested?
Yes.
Yeah, if you have an application form, you're going to send it to me, and
what we typically do is exactly as you described, and then we invite you to some meetings because this board
you got to know what you're talking about.
Exactly. We want to make sure that when someone says we're interested, we want you to come to some meetings, see some of the decision making that goes on, see the committee structure, see what the priorities are that we're working towards, see what the workload is. Sure. And what is expected from board members.
Okay, so now let's go back to the fact that the local governmental groups can nominate people or put forward names, whatever the appropriate word would be. Do you find much interest from the city councils, from the county board of supervisors in doing this? Do you report to them annually? Do you find them tracking you? Or again, there is, my sense of it always is that there, at the local level, there just is a respect and a certain amount of belief that a federal agency acting locally is probably doing a good job because they're being monitored by the feds all the time.
I think there is an interest by the county. I think there's also probably what you refer to as, well, at least we don't have to go in and monitor them every year because somebody else is, and that's true. That does happen on a regular basis, and that's good. We're very proud of how we handle our public trust because we do distribute public funds. We have to monitor those monies, make sure they're doing, following all the rules and regulations, and I can assure you, there is no shortage of rules and regulations, and it's every year there's more and more of it. So, yes, I think the county is genuinely interested in what we do. We do meet with them on a regular basis. The nominees and board members who have been nominated by them go back and make reports, as well as we produce a report for the county staff as well to look through. We have audit reports. All of those reports go into the county because as a funding source, and since we are not really an extension of the county, but we're doing this job on behalf of the county, we make sure that we keep them posted with what our plans are, what our documents are, what the compliance reports are, what the audit reports are, all of that.
Okay, so you're really talking about extensive local governmental ties, either informally or money's not too informal, formally or informally.
And then, of course, that's true. And we also work with a lot of county departments on various projects or something.
Pick a project. some detail.
A project would be suicide prevention.
Oh, my glory.
I always take tough topics like this, but
I just got chills.
Most people do not realize that the population most at risk for committing suicide is the older population, and most suicides are committed by older males.
I didn't know that.
Most people don't, so that's why if you open the door, I'll go through that.
Okay, but I'm going to do something first because I see that our time is very short. This is an incredible subject. So I want you all to know, I know you want them to know, but I want you all to know that they are doing a San Luis Obispo Suicide Prevention Forum Wednesday, September 26th. If you are, if you are involved with the elderly group, any way at all, if you are elderly and thinking of suicide, I'm going to say, you tell them about the forum and tell them to come. You all come to this.
And if you should see this program after this date, we do this every year. And I also want to say that
is there a charge?
It's a free forum.
Okay.
And I also want to say that if you know anyone who's seriously thinking, or you sometimes feel the depths of depression, that you might do something like this, reach out, please.
Okay.
Suicide is not the answer.
Okay, thank you very much. That's both a helpful or hopeful note as well as perhaps a chilling note. But we are at the end of our time. We thank you for being with us. We hope with this program that we can help make government, good government in San Luis Obispo County, the usual, not the unusual. And I thank Joyce for being here to help us do that.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here today, Janet.
Thank you.